Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Tuesday, May 21st Planning Commission meeting. Would you all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Mr. Bentley, would you please call the roll?
Yes, sir. Mr. Hardy.
Here.
Mr. Tuckfield.
Here.
Mr. Marley.
Mr. Meyerly is running late, and we'll count him present when he gets here.
Okay. Ms. Smith.
Here.
Mr. Spatafora.
Here.
Mr. Oliver.
Here.
And Mr. Bentley, present.
And Mr. Meyerly, present. So we got him too. Okay.
Did you come lights and sirens?
Approval of previous meeting minutes. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair, if there's no discussion, I'll make a motion to approve the previous board minutes.
Motion by Mrs. Smith to approve the previous board minutes.
I'll second it.
Seconded by Mr. Spatafora. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, motion passes. Approval of tonight's agenda. Any discussion?
There's no deletions or correction, I'll approve the agenda.
Support.
Approval by Mr. Oliver, supported by Mrs. Smith. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, motion passes. New business, extension of time for preliminary plan, The Bluffs at Riverside, located on the west side of North Avenue, located south of 23 Mile Road, Section 23. Diverse Real Estate LLC, petitioner. Permanent parcels 0823-251-003 and 0823-276-009. Mr. Box.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commission. As you mentioned, this is south of 23 Mile and just west of North Avenue. This is a site plan, a preliminary plan that has been approved previously, and they are just seeking an extension of time. I believe it is June, if I'm seeing that correctly, June 8th is when it would formally expire based on the previous extension. So they're seeking a 2-year extension so it would expire on June 8th of 2026. They did submit a letter where they indicated that they are seeking a 2-year extension. Staff has reviewed this, and we are in support of this.
Okay, is the petitioner here? Come on up to the table there and state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. My name is Aubrey Marib. I'm brand new with the company, so I believe the address is 13001 23 Mile Road with Lombardo Companies.
Okay. Did you have anything you'd like to add?
No, we do plan to move forward with this site in the next 12 months. So I did not anticipating that we need the full 2 years extension, but just in case, we're going to ask for 2.
That was going to be one of my questions. Commissioners? Anybody?
Mr. Chairman, just a
Tuckfield.
quick question to the petitioner. So you mentioned you're not ready to move forward with the site. Have you done most of the pre-work, or are you ready for engineering, or where are you guys at with it right now?
We're expecting, our current schedule is to pre-con on this in April of 25. So right now, we're currently finishing up the wetland permit. We're making some minor tweaks, so we'll probably be back to you for the site plan approval at that point. But nothing major on this site plan. So I would say in the next 6 months, we'll probably have all of our permitting, and then we'll be ready to move forward.
But you are engaged in permitting at the moment, even if you're not ready to move forward with it also?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Anyone else?
I just had one question for Josh, or Mr. Box. In reading the different department recommendations and such, could you clarify whether or not the planning department recommended approval, or Their recommendation didn't really indicate it. At least I couldn't find it, so.
Yeah, I believe all staff at this point is recommending approval.
Okay.
Okay.
Good,
Anyone
thank you.
else? Doing that, do we have a motion? And you're requesting 2 years, right?
That's right.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, if there's no further questions or discussion, based on the department view and recommendation by the planning department, I will move to recommend extension of time for the preliminary plan at the Bluffs at Riverside, located on the west side of North Avenue, south of 23 Mile Road in Section 23. The permanent parcel number is 08-23-251-003 and 08-23-276-009.
Okay, motion to recommend the extension of time for the Bluffs at Riverside by Mr. Spatafora, seconded by Mr. Bentley.
Yep.
Mr. Bentley, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Spatafora?
Yes.
Mr. Bentley, yes. Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Tuckfield?
Yes.
Mr. Marley?
Yes.
Mr. Oliver?
Yes.
And Mr. Hardy?
Yes. Okay, motion passes. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, next item, under new business, amendment to the planned unit development, PUD agreement, McBride Crossing, located on the southwest corner of 24 Mile Road and future Broughton Road, Section 16, Stonecrest of Washington LLC petitioner, permanent parcel 08162000012. Mr. Box.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commission. As you mentioned, this is located south of 24 Mile, near future Broughton Road. If you saw in your packet, this is a PUD agreement that has already been through the Planning Commission as well as the Township Board and has been approved. However, they are seeking an amendment to update some of the dates that were in this amendment, or in this agreement initially. They have taken a little bit longer to close on the property than they had anticipated. Therefore, there were a few of the deadlines that have since passed and they were unable to meet. So they're seeking an amendment to update some of those dates. Largely that has to do with the fact that future Broughton Road will go completely through this property. So there were some dates in there for them to donate the right-of-way, as well as dates for them to deposit some money for their portion of building future Broughton Road. And again, the delay in closing on the property, you can't donate property that you don't own yet, so they were not able to meet some of those deadlines. I believe they either have or will be closing this month. So they're proposing some changes to the dates on that, and that outside of that, there are no other changes. The plan that was approved with it has not changed whatsoever. Staff has reviewed it, and we are in support of this amendment. I will note that you got a letter on your chair when you came in this evening. One of the neighbors did provide a letter asking for a landscape buffer around their property as it abuts this. Again, I think that we're kind of past that. The site has already been approved. They're not proposing to change anything on that, just the amendment with the dates.
Okay. Petitioner here? Just wondering. Anybody?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Then, commissioners, questions? Mr. Bentley?
Just one quick to Josh. Josh, going back to this letter, typically, we wouldn't put a buffer next to an R1 anyways, would we?
Not from one R1
One
to
to
another
one.
R1, no.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Oliver. Mr. Bentley?
I just had a clarification question. Looking at the amendment, I didn't see anything that referenced McBride Crossing as the title or name, and I wondered if it mattered as it relates to any of the legal requirements here.
I don't think so. The agreement is with Stonecrest of Washington, which is also the developer of record for McBride Crossing. That's the name of the development itself.
Right, it never states that though in this amendment.
Yeah, I guess I would defer to Mr. Aloya if that's going to be an issue, but again, the agreement is with Stonecrest, who is the developer of record for McBride Crossing.
And what's the issue? I apologize.
He's mentioning that he doesn't see the reference in the agreement at all to McBride Crossing.
Bride Crossing is the name of his development,
Correct.
right? But the LLC that owns the development is bound. And then what the agreement says, all of our PUD's agreements are recorded and they run with the land. So regardless of who the developer is, whether he sells all or part of it, what it states in all of our PUD agreements is that anyone who owns or develops a property must comply with this.
Okay,
Yeah.
so as long as that parcel number is there on that
Yeah.
amendment, that's all it needs.
Well, the legal description is gonna be attached, the parcel ID number. This amendment will be recorded, so it'll run with the land, and the remainder of the PUD is effective. This is just a slight amendment to 2 terms, which were necessary because it took time for the road to be
Right,
finalized.
nope, that's good, thank
Yeah.
you, appreciate it.
And just a reminder, the planning commission, recommended for approval the main PUD, and the board approved it, so.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, to Mr. Box, obviously, the petitioner is asking us to open up, or asking the board, I should say, to open up a PUD. The PUD, usually the principle is that, as I understood it, they give something, we give something. In this case, we gave higher density along Broughton. My memory, and please clarify this for me, was that what they gave was increased ability for us to develop there. I don't remember if they were paying for part of the road or they were giving the land. Can you detail that a little for us?
I believe it's both of those things. They're giving us the land for future Broughton, as well as paying for a portion of it.
Okay, so the benefit to the township is a major portion of our infrastructure is going to be paid for by a developer that would be very difficult for us to implement if they were not doing this.
Right, and oftentimes, right-of-way has to be acquired or condemned, therefore
Right.
we're paying for it. In this instance, he's giving it to the County Department of Roads, as well as paying a portion of the township's share of that road.
Okay, and then I guess 2 follow-up questions. Is future Broughton Road still part of our long-term road planning? Having that go through, is that a portion of our long-term plan?
Absolutely. It's in the master plan. It will someday be connected to what is currently Heidenreich at 23 Mile.
Okay, and then roughly speaking, what is the expected value to the township of this? Is that a known dollar amount or a known estimate?
I don't know if I can come up with a number for the value. There was a time, it feels like not that long ago,
Or
that
we knew what it was, but,
or we could say, the cost of a road is $1 million a mile. I think Garfield was something more like $6 million for a mile. So prices are constantly fluctuating, so it's hard to put a number on that.
and they would be helping with a quarter mile, a half mile?
Well, they're giving us the property for a half mile, and they're paying, I don't remember the percent off the top of my head, I want to say like 20% of that, so.
Okay. All right, and the reasoning for my questions to the board is just, we're being asked to reopen it. Is it still a benefit for the township? And my memory at the time, we don't necessarily give higher density like this often, but I think it's an overwhelming value to the taxpayer, and I think it's still there regardless. So, to me, I feel very confident about an extra 8 months as long as.
Yeah, and I would add too that an additional benefit to the township is the open space. So a PUD is one way of developing property, but there are plenty of other ways that this could have been developed. By doing it as a PUD, there's a requirement for 15% open space, which they have provided. So the township additionally gets some open space.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Box. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Dudfield. Anyone else? What? Mr. Bentley?
I hate to be picky, but in the request for their, in the letter that says that this will be reviewed at our meeting, it does indicate that their presence is mandatory, or representative is mandatory. So we have the purview to review it, to take action on it, or to table it, is that correct?
You would have that purview to table it if you so chose. Again, you're making a recommendation to the board And I think the intent was to get this to the board so it's updated as soon as possible so that they can meet their deadlines.
Great. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I also want to let the planning commission know that Tim Tomlinson, as counsel for the township, reviewed this document. It was also vetted with the planning department, and the supervisor also reviewed this and has been active in this extension.
All right, anything else? Is anyone who would like to make the motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion if everybody's done, and that would be a motion to recommend approval to the Board of Trustees for the amendment to the planned unit development agreement for McBride Crossing, permit parcel 08162000012, based on the recommendations from the relevant departments on our legal team, as well as the continued advantage to the township that this development goes through.
And I'll second that. Mr. Bentley, call the roll, please.
Well, Mr. Tuckfield,
Yes.
Mr. Hardy,
Yes.
Mr. Bentley, yes. Mr. Marley,
Yes.
Mr. Spatafora,
Yes.
Ms. Smith,
Yes.
and Mr. Oliver.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes unanimously. Before we move to 7C, Mr. Spatafora, did you?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. For agenda item 7C, under Article 7 of the Macomb Township Planning Commission bylaws and rules of procedure, and in order to avoid any appearance of impropriety, I'm declaring a conflict of interest that I have with this particular agenda item, as I am an authorized representative of the developer on this property on which this application is based on, and therefore I do have a business or financial interest in this agenda item request. So therefore, I'm abstaining from any discussion or votes relative to this agenda item request, and I will leave the room at this time in accordance with our bylaws and rules of procedure. Please call me back when this item is concluded. Thanks.
Mr. Lawyer, do we have to make a motion to accept his,
Yes, I think that would be appropriate, because we
okay.
make a motion when we excuse members for roll call votes, so I think that would be
okay.
appropriate.
Then I'll go ahead and make that motion to accuse Mr. Spatafora of the roll call vote for the site plan for Cleanview Car Wash.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Mrs. Smith. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. All right, let's move on to C then. Site plan, Cleanview's Car Wash, located on the south side of 23 Mile Road, west of Romeo Plank, Section 20, permanent parcel number 0820105-002. Mr. Box.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commission. As you see on the screen behind you, the site is located at the end of Executive Drive on 23 Mile. This is part of Elite Corporate Park, which Mr. Spatafora just referenced. These are for units 1 and 2 within Elite Corporate Park. Again, south of 23, kind of in between Romeo Plank and Garfield Road. So the site plan, as you saw in your packet, they do have curb cuts both on Executive Drive as well as 23 Mile. They do have the 10-foot wide emergency bypass lane for the drive-through portion of the car wash, and they are showing the 8-foot wide pedestrian pathway along 23 Mile, as well as the 5-foot walk shown on Executive Drive. They've met all of their setbacks. The trash enclosure is shown in the southeast corner. 3 parking spaces and 20 stacking spaces are required. They're providing 9 as well as 25 stacking spaces. They do also have 16 vacuum spaces shown on the plan. Their dimensions of the spaces are shown, and they are meeting the ordinance. The landscape plan indicates the locations of their landscaping. A note does state that the roof-mounted appliances and fixtures will be effectively screened. And again, all of their numbers on their plan match the numbers on the table within the plan. The floor plans and elevations were provided. They're within the allowable 25 feet and 1 story. They do have 14 light fixtures, and they had a photometric plan that was included. The fixtures are designed as being faced downward and shielded as required. Those were shown in your packet as well. Staff has reviewed this, and we do recommend approval contingent on the attainment of the formal lot combinations of units 1 and 2, as well as the completion of the amendment to the master deed. They're in the process of both of those items right now.
Okay, petitioner, are you here? Come on up. State your name and address for the record for us, please, sir.
Good afternoon, Commission. Frank Toma, 570 Julian Court, Washington, Michigan, 48094.
Did you have anything you'd like to add tonight?
Some of you may know me, and maybe all of you. We've been in business, since 2010 in Macomb County. This would be our 7th location that we're opening in the community. And, we're really what we do. We're really good at what we do, and we build our buildings, top notch to the specs, and we take pride in that. So we're very excited to build a 2nd location in Macomb Township.
Okay, commissioners. Question for our petitioner or Mr. Box? Mr. Bentley?
I had just a couple of comments. On the site plan, you identify that there is a one-way drive it's only for exit off of the Executive Drive.
Correct.
Which is great, and I'm glad I saw that. Just a comment regarding when someone takes that bypass lane around the stacked vehicles and comes around the south side of your facility, they could be driving in the wrong direction, I guess, going into where they can vacuum their car after,
Yeah.
or they want to get it vacuumed beforehand or what have you. And I don't know if there's a consideration for possibly making that curb on the west side of that entry into that parking area to where, or a sign that says
Yeah,
one
well,
way.
we can absolutely put a sign there.
Okay, that'd probably be the easiest, and I noticed the one sign that's out at Executive Drive for there, but that was the only area that I thought was, that might create some problems if somebody's trying to go against the traffic.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then my only other concern was at the south end of that stack on your landscaping plan. I don't know how much this would be an issue, but you are operating after dark, and I'm not sure what's going to be on that lot on the south side. So I don't know if headlights might or should be screened, maybe with some landscaping as part of that to keep the headlights from affecting that adjacent lot. Not sure what will be
Well,
there.
to the south of us is that storage unit. There's nothing
Yeah.
else in between.
It's a safe store building. It's already built.
Yeah, it's already built.
And there's
There's nothing there. It's just going to be landscaping.
It's the
Okay.
side of their building.
all right. It just shows a building here. I didn't see anything on the site, so maybe I wasn't.
Yeah, well, it's not updated in Google, but the building is up already for the storage unit, safe store.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
so there's nothing we can build in between, or no one can really access it. It's just going to be, greenfield.
Okay. All right. That's all I had.
Okay. Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman, if I could, to Mr. Toma. I should remember this, but you are also building a facility at Romeo Plank and 26, correct?
Almost done.
Yes, it's getting close. One of the things I was curious about with this is that when you came for that, I believe you were the person who had been there, although I guess it's a couple of years ago now.
Yeah, it's been a couple years.
You had talked quite a bit about the building that you put around the vacuuming area and how that was something that was very important to the business model that you felt was, and I personally look forward to using it, incidentally.
Yep.
I noticed it's not on this drawing, and I was just curious what the purpose
So originally we were going to do an indoor vac site here as well, but with the way the cost of construction went, we ended up changing the site plan. And
gotten
Josh
too
knows we
expensive.
submitted a couple of times and we went back and forth. And, you know, it's just honestly with, you know, the cost of building and how much it's increased over the last couple of years, it's just not feasible to do anymore. So we're testing it with, you know, our Hall Road and Shaner location, and we're gonna test it with our new Macomb location for now. And if it does well in the future, we may
You can always
consider
build
it.
the enclosure over it. So,
Yeah.
so are you leaving the site with the ability to do that in the future, or?
We won't be able to, it'd be too difficult to renovate this one, but for future locations, possibly.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's the reason we bought the bigger lot, is we were gonna do the indoor vacs. But like I said, you know, sometimes you just have to pull back.
The economy goes the way the economy goes.
Yeah, it's another 10,000 square feet, you know, and nowadays, you know, you can't build less than 300 to 400,000 square foot, so it's,
The other question I had was with regards to control of the property. Do you own both lots?
we do.
Okay, and you are, as Mr. Box mentioned, you're in the process, you're not expecting any difficulties with that?
Everything has been submitted, and I'm not sure if there's anything else they need. I think everything is pending. It should be approved hopefully shortly.
Yeah, so the approval would be conditioned on the combination of the lots and the amendment to not only the condominium documents, which will comply, which will combine the units, but also there's a consent judgment on this property.
Do
So
we need to state the consent judgment in the,
I would,
because technically this would be the site plan, so we have approval.
right, but you do have approval power, but I would say that it's conditioned on those occurrences happening. They will happen, I don't see any issue with it.
But make sure it's noted. So both the subdivision,
The condominium
condominium
documents.
documents and the consent judgment. Okay.
There's an attachment to the consent judgment allows actually a car wash at this location. But the attachment has it as units 1 and 2, so we're simply gonna amend the attachment to the consent judgment, and they're gonna amend the condo docs.
I guess, and then one last question, just briefly to Mr. Box. I had somebody call me up this week, and I had not looked into it, and I hadn't had a chance to call you. They were trying to look up the permanent parcel with regards to this parcel, and they were having a difficult time doing it. I assumed when they called me that it was something to do with the combined lots. Is this a current parcel number, or is this the future parcel number?
Yeah, Mr. Bentley pointed that out as well. This is actually the previous parcel number. I think the new one has already been established, even though the finalization of the combo hasn't taken place. And I think in their application, there was also a location where they referenced the parent parcel,
Okay.
which also no longer exists. But we do have the correct documentation.
Okay. What, if we call out a permanent parcel, what parcel number should we be calling out if we make a motion? I'm assuming that it matters. If it doesn't, I'm fine leaving it off, but I'd rather.
The drawings do show 8/20/100/018.
Yeah, I think that's accurate.
100/018?
It's 08-20-100-018.
Okay.
That's all of the documentation that I found.
And that would be the new combined parcel? Is that accurate?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Anyone else have a question? And a comment? Anybody?
Yeah, real quick. You said this is your 7th location?
Yes, sir.
And second one in Macomb, correct?
Second one, Macomb.
And
Yeah.
you're gonna be right down the street from your competition there, right?
Depends which competition.
Whitewater,
Yeah,
almost right across the street from them, okay?
they're about a mile away.
Yeah.
We're a different traffic pattern. We're the south side, and they're on the north side.
Okay.
All right. Well, at this time, I'd like to make a motion to open this item to the public. So I'm going to make that motion,
Support.
supported by Mrs. Smith. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to come up to the podium and share their concerns or their questions? Now's the time. Anyone? Ma'am, anything over there? No? Okay. All right. Then I need I'll make a motion to close the public hearing. And I need somebody supported by Mrs. Smith. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes. All right. Do we have a motion on this item?
Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion to approve the site plan for the Cleanview Car Wash as presented for permanent parcel 0820100018, that being the new combined parcel. This would be conditional upon the appropriate combination being correctly documented and applied to the condominium documents, as well as the consent judgment to the satisfaction of our legal counsel. And it'd be based upon the fact that this meets the requirements of the consent judgment, the pertinent zoning ordinance, and has been approved by all of the relevant department heads.
Okay. And we have a motion to approve the site plan for a Clean View Car Wash by Mr. Tuckfield, supported by Mr. Bentley. Mr. Bentley, please call the roll.
Mr. Tuckfield?
Yes.
Mr. Bentley, yes. Mr. Marley?
Yes.
Mr. Oliver?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Hardy?
Yes. Okay. Motion passes unanimously. All right.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Rich. All right. Next item on our agenda tonight is public comments on non-agenda items. Is there anyone that would like to speak tonight on non-agenda items? Anyone? Nobody? Okay. All right, commissioners' comments.
Yes, it is.
No one?
Just hit me.
All right. No,
No, I'm good, I'm good.
well, he has his turn in a
I
moment.
got my turn, Rich.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Macomb Township Board of Trustees Liaison, Mr. Oliver's turn. So, Mr. Oliver, go
Thank you,
ahead.
Mr. Hardy. Not much. We had a real quick in and out meeting. One of the things that I do want to mention to this board that they started the rec center roof. It looks like they're coming along, and I see they got cranes on one side, so they're doing a lot of work to that. And I did bring it up to the board that May is National Motorcycle Week, so we all got to be aware of motorcycles on the road. We come out of winter not seeing bikes, and now they're out there. And in addition to that, we have to be aware of, in the subdivision, the people on bikes, say kids and adults riding bikes. Some seem to want to ride them on the road, you know, and they got the right to ride them on the road. So you just got to be aware of it, and that's it. So, and
That's it, Mr. Oliver?
that's it. That's all I got to report on.
Okay. Are there any questions for Mr. Oliver?
No questions.
No questions. Okay, good. ZBA Liaison, Mr. Tuckfield.
Mr. Chairman, I think we have a meeting in another couple of weeks here, relative to one of the items I think we saw last meeting, or I'm assuming that's the case. And besides that, I have no other comments.
All righty. Planning Department items.
Nothing this evening.
Nothing this evening. Okay. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion.
Mr. Meyerly made the motion to adjourn, supported by Mr. Spatafora. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? We are adjourned. And I have 7:14 on the clock. Thank you, everyone, for coming.